Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the second round in the A-Main Racing League's Thursday night triple header. Our first race was at Talladega Super Speedway, which was won by the number 14 truck, Ayrton Ellis, by less than 2/100ths of a second. However, now we've hopped over the Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is going to be a change after the Colossus that is Talladega. Richard, tell us a little bit about Charlotte.
Yes, well, this is a totally different proposition to Talladega. This is a track where each individual driver will be racing for themselves, no partner required, and you will find that qualifying time is critical. At the moment, we're looking at the practice session, and we see that Jeffrey Creek got the fastest practice time of 29.474. They are laying down qualifying laps as we speak. And at the moment, Michael Koenig seems to be topping the leaderboard. Rudy?
Yeah, Michael, a new member here at A-Main Racing. Last night, I watched him in a race, and he really impressed the heck out of everybody out here. So I think he might be one to really kind of keep an eye on out here tonight. Samuel?
Yes, but unfortunately, it's not at the top of the board anymore. Chris Kessler has gone to the top, but I don't even see Jeffrey's name on the scoring sheet, so he has yet to turn in a qualifying lap, and it'll be interesting seeing where he places on the board when he does. Now, we only have a 5-minute time limit on qualifying, Richard, so he's got to get a hot one in soon if he wants to be starting up front tonight.
Yeah, and look for him to be in the top 3 for sure when he does lay down that qualifying lap, unless he has some problems. Chris Kessler has something to prove here. He's very, very good at this track, and he has not won a race recently that I can remember, Rudy, so he's certainly going to be one to watch tonight.
You're exactly right. Chris, I believe his strong points are on the shorter tracks, the 1.5-mile tracks. The bigger tracks, the Talladegas and the Daytonas, aren't kind to him a lot. But I'm seeing Jeffrey Creek has qualified on the pole now. So back to you, Samuel.
Yes, almost by a 1/10 of a second, and there are still trucks going around the track trying to better their times. But currently, and actually we just got a 10th truck join, Rolando Arroyo. I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. But currently Jeffrey Creek and Chris Kessler are lined up on row 1, with Michael Koenig in 3rd, who handed his setup over to the Talladega winner Ayrton Ellis, because Ayrton was really struggling in practice. Still struggling a little bit, Richard. He's down there in 6th on the board right now out of only 8 trucks.
That's right. In last night's race, from memory, Ayrton qualified in second or first place. But Jeffrey Creek, I just want to talk briefly about Jeffrey Creek. He always lays down a very fast qualifying time. During the race, he will go like the clappers to be out in front. But in the middle of the race, he tends to have chewed up all his tires, and he gets caught by other drivers in the race. So I'm looking for a very intense, very, very interesting race coming up here, with any one of these guys having an opportunity to be out front there, Rudy.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Richard. The top 3 here are probably our best runners on this track. I wouldn't count Matt Brooks out. He doesn't qualify well here. But Matt Brooks is pretty much strong about any race he goes. But Jeffrey Creek showed a lot of strength last night. And if you don't know how to deal with the tire fall off, which he kind of struggled with that, like you said, late race last night. But he dealt with it, and he came back, and I don't remember exactly where he finished, but he was in the top 3. So back to you, Samuel.
Yes, but I've got to ask, Richard, this is only a 20-lap race. We haven't got an official word on whether they'll be making pit stops or not this race. I assume that they will. Are your tyres really going to go off in 20 laps?
Absolutely. It depends on how you treat the tyres as they start gridding up now. The tyres are good for about 2 laps at flat-out pace. and then you've got to go to kind of 9/10 pace, and then you really have to look after your tires, or towards the end of the the end of the race, even though it's a short race, you will have nothing left to defend your position with. Rudy, am I right there?
Yes, sir, by all means. Michael Koenig was one that I was explaining last night, knows how to manage his tires. So I would look for him to be up there for the win, at the end of the race. Jeffrey Creek, he may struggle a little bit, like you say, in the middle. But, I noticed last night he did kind of come back just a little bit toward the end there. So, but yeah, tire fall off is great here. But don't look for it in the first, 3 or 4 or 5 laps even. Samuel?
Yes, the car's still getting gridded up here, a couple more minutes. And currently Jeffrey Creek and Chris Kessler are they're going to be starting the race from the front row, with Michael Koenig and Brian Vandenheck on the second row. Seth Hellman and Ayrton Ellis are going to be lined up 5th and 6th. Matt Brooks is 7th, with Sean Ambrose in 8th. Christopher Bortolotti had a great race at Talladega, almost won, but struggling in qualifying here, a whole second off of a pole sitter's time, and Rolando Arroyo didn't turn in a lap in qualifying, Richard.
Yes, that's unfortunate for Rolando, because he is a really good racer as well. I just want to say that you don't want to discount Ayrton Ellis, although he's at the beginning here, he's at a slight disadvantage being on the outside line. And that's quite critical at the start of a race to be on the inside line here, because you get the best entry into the first corner, and hopefully if you're strong enough you can set up a little bit of a lead. But Ayrton certainly has proven already in the races that he has run here that he is a strong contender, and look for him to be out at the finish along with Jeffrey, Chris and Michael, and possibly Matt Brooks as well. Rudy, what do you think?
Oh, definitely, yes. But one that we don't, like you said, one we don't want to count out is Rolando. Even though he's in the back of the field, did not qualify at all. Don't count him out. As we're getting ready to go to Green Flag Racing here, I'm going to pass this back to you, Samuel.
10 trucks is actually a bigger field than we had the last race at Talladega. Pace car is off. The field is in control of Jeffrey Creek, who can go whenever he feels like he wants. And this looks like it's going to be a late start. There he finally goes. And he's already got about 2 car lengths on the battle for second, which is going on between Michael Koenig taking it away from Chris Kessler. A terrible start by Chris, Richard.
Yes, Chris didn't get the best of starts, but it's early days in the race yet. We see that Jeffrey Creek has pulled out a small gap, although Michael Koenig is right on him now, trying to go to the inside to make a pass there, which was covered well by Jeffrey Creek. So Chris Kessler in 3rd place, coming up strongly behind them now, and Brian Vandenheck still in the 4th. No, the 37 car, we have an accident. What happened there? Somebody please tell us what happened there.
Ayrton tried to go 3 wide down the middle on the backstretch, Richard, and as he did so, he clipped to Brian Vandenheck, who flipped over into the wall. Brian, I recall, had a bit of an unfortunate race at Talladega, so that's 2 bad races in a row for him, Rudy.
Yeah, I was watching that, and for whatever reason there, the number 14 there of Ayrton decided he kind of looked under the inside of Brian and tried to go 3 wide, like you said, but they closed the gap on him. Brian closed the gap on him, and when he closed that up, somebody had to give.
Yes, I see a slight bit of damage to the front of Ayrton's car. At the time, I said there was multiple cars involved. That wasn't the case. It ended up being a single car incident. Seth Hellman was also involved in the tangle, but currently him and Ayrton are running pretty well in 4th and 5th place, Richard.
Well, the top 3 guys that I'm looking at now, being Jeffrey, Michael and Chris, they are pretty much, as we see Michael and Jeffrey going 2 wide there. Chris is keeping a watching brief by the looks of things, just seeing what's developing in front of him. And coming up fast is Ayrton Ellis. So this is going to be an exciting finish here. Bear in mind they will need to stop for fuel and even tires. So this is going to be very interesting as we get down into the laps, Rudy.
Yes, as I expected, those front two there, Jeffrey Creek and Michael Koenig, battling real hard for that top position. But Chris Kessler lurking right there on the bumper of the number 54. So this could be a very, very interesting shootout between this front four. Samuel?
Yes, and as we watch this, I will update that Seth Hellman had a big moment a couple of laps ago, went through the grass coming off of turn 4, lost multiple positions. Christopher Bartoli has also made an unscheduled pit stop, don't know what that's all about. But yeah, the top four currently of Michael, Jeffrey, Ayrton and Chris, currently just running single file. Maybe they're going to think of passing each other on pit road, Richard.
Yes, well, Ayrton, in the previous lap, Ayrton made a move on Chris Kessler. He went on to the inside and successfully took the position from Chris Kessler. So he is now in third place and looking to challenge Jeffrey Creek for second position. I'm looking for Michael Koenig. I don't see Michael Koenig at the moment. Has he pitted?
No, he's still out there leading, Richard. As a matter of fact, though, he may not be leading for much longer because, like you say, I didn't believe you at first, but Jeffrey has fallen off a pace. He is all the way back down in fourth, and we may soon have a lead change, Rudy. Ayrton right behind Michael's truck.
Yes, Ayrton has definitely closed in on Michael Koenig here. Michael Koenig really being dominant here tonight, but one that I've been kind of watching, guys, Matt Brooks sneaking up through the field here in the fifth position, getting ready to pass Jeffrey Creek. So kind of keep an eye out for him, guys. Samuel?
Lead change going into turn 1. Ayrton has just taken the lead from Michael, but as you say, the battle that's heating up right now, Jeffrey Creek continuing to fall back, and Matt Brooks is going to take fourth place from him, Richard.
Yes, and we just saw Michael have a brief look on the inside of Ayrton to try and take his position back. Thought the better of it, and now we see that in fact Ayrton has got quite a bit of a lead on the rest of the field, so it's developing. In fact,
our leaders on
sure
pit
what's
road,
going
guys.
on here, but Ayrton seems to have a very large lead on the rest of the field there as he passes one of the lap cars who looks pretty damaged there, Rudy.
Our leader, Michael Koenig, has entered on pit road now. Whether this is a pit strategy or an early pit, not sure what his strategy is.
Ayrton coming in as well. In fact, they're all coming in now, Rudy.
Ayrton and Jeffrey just came in. That's Sean Ambrose that you saw on the apron there, Richard. Sean Ambrose has a lot of damage to the front of his truck. I don't know what happened, Rudy, but if we're watching, Ayrton is in the pits. Let's see what kind of stop he gets. Rudy.
I only seen a two-tire pit stop on wow, Michael Koenig there. He only did a two-tire pit stop and full tank of fuel, and he was away. So this definitely could play into his hands trying to stay out there. I'm not sure if we're going to see any tire changes here on any of these vehicles.
Ayrton coming out of turn 2, he almost loses it, able to save it. That could have been race over here for him, but he's pulled out. He is still in front of Michael Koenig, who is closing quickly. This could be your potential battle for the lead. They're almost side by side, Richard. Ayrton Ellis and Michael Koenig.
Yes, I'm watching that, and I did see that we saw that Ayrton nearly spilled all his lollies, and that would have been curtains for him as they go side by side, and Ayrton gets the better of that exchange because he has the inside line. Bearing in mind that Matt Brooks and Chris Kessler have not pitted yet, hopefully they'll come onto pit road in the next lap or two. But right now it's between Michael Koenig and as Michael takes the position, the first place back from Ayrton, and Ayrton crosses over and goes to the inside once again, and looks like, yes, he will pull off. Side by side they are. Matt Brooks going into the pits by the looks of things, and Ayrton and Michael side by side. Rudy, very exciting.
Yes, Matt Brooks did his pit stop. He changed no tires. But I'm watching Chris Kessler at the moment here, one of our front runners. He pitted, and I believe he come down pit road just a little too fast and had to serve a pit penalty.
No, what happened, Richard? He got too much rear brake coming into the pits. He actually got sideways hit in the pits. And Chris Kessler hit the wall entering pit road, and we're being told he has retired from the race as this battle for first continues. Ayrton and Michael Koenig racing side by side for the lead down the backstretch, Richard.
Absolutely, and they've been side by side for at least 3 laps now, switching positions depending on who's on the inside. At the moment, they are once again side by side coming through the tri-oval, with Ayrton having a slight advantage being on the inside. But I want to tell you, Rudy, that Michael Koenig is not being disadvantaged much by being on the outside, although he's fallen in behind Ayrton at this point, Rudy.
Yeah, that's for sure. We talked about it at the beginning of the show that draft wasn't a critical thing here like it was in the past race here of Talladega, but it does produce some draft here, and if he loses that draft, he's going to struggle to get caught back up. Samuel?
And if these two drivers make contact, Rolando Arroyo is currently sitting in 3rd place. We may have not heard the last from him tonight, Richard.
That's right. Rudy made the point that Rolando should not be discounted in any of these races. He's a very, very good operator. So he's now currently in 3rd place. And it looks to me, Rudy, as if the 34 car, or 34 truck, I should say, of Michael Koenig is just dropping off a little from Ayrton Ellis.
Yeah, he might be just cooling his tires off and getting ready for maybe like the last couple of lap run. But, again, like I said, he's lost a little bit of that draft here. Ayrton being very strong out front, he may not have anything left.
3 laps left to go. If I was Michael Koenig, I do not see the sense in handing back right now. I've got to think that Ayrton is just out racing Michael right here, guys. Ayrton does have the fastest lap of the race. No, he doesn't. Jeffrey Creek does. But after that, it is Chris Kessler, and then it's Ayrton. So he's up there. And currently, like we say, Rolando is sitting in 3rd. And there's a good battle. No, that's a lap car, sorry. Matt Brooks is in 4th and Seth Hellman is in 5th. That's your top 5 right now. Although Matt Brooks just got in the wall out of turn 4, able to save it. Maybe not. Matt Brooks are in big trouble here right now, Richard. In 4th place, just got the wall hard coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's not going to do him any favors at all. It's a matter of hanging on to that 4th place for him now, with Seth Hellman not that far behind him, so there's going to be a battle for the 4th position. But right now, guys, it looks that Ayrton Ellis, if everything goes to plan, he's going to win this race. Michael Koenig does not appear to have anything left to challenge him with. He probably used up his tires being on the outside line there for most of the mid part of this race, and now he doesn't have anything to challenge with. So this looks like it's turning out for a good win for Ayrton Ellis once again.
Yep, here he comes out of turn 4. The only one who could have beat him was himself. He got a piece of a turn 4 wall last lap, but that doesn't matter. Ayrton Ellis crosses the finish line. He is your winner here for the 2nd of 2 races. Win at Talladega, win at Charlotte, and maybe I'll do a few burnouts this time for Giancarlo. Rudy?
Yeah, the great run by Ayrton, man. I'm with you on the Michael Koenig. I believe he just used up all of his stuff. When them two were battling side by side, he just burned up all of his tires. And as Richard can tell you, that this track is not very kind to tires. You're good for a couple of laps, and then they're gone.
Yeah, that's correct. And a very, very good 3rd place to Rolando, coming from dead last into 3rd place. That is no mean feat. Matt Brooks did manage to finish in the 4th place, and a very unfortunate incident for Chris Kessler, because I believe if he had stayed up with the leaders there, he would have had a chance. Jeffrey Creek, the fastest qualifier, did what we kind of expected, although we didn't wish it on him. He used up his stuff early on in the race and came in a creditable 6th place. But certainly he was, he's better than that, and he should have been challenging up there for the lead. Maybe he learned something about conserving some of his tires there, Rudy.
Yeah, as Ayrton's doing his burnout here, I was really kind of disappointed in Jeffrey Creek. Maybe that's not the setup for him. Maybe it's not a well-balanced setup. Not really too awful sure. But I was really kind of disappointed in Chris Kessler taking his truck behind the wall early on. So back to you, Samuel.
Yes, and you've got to wonder what this is going to mean as we go into our 3rd race at Texas, because Ayrton Ellis, remember, he caused that wreck early on. Will there be retaliation stopping him from getting a 3-peat at Texas? Find out in just a few minutes. Stay right here on Global Sim Racing channel, and we'll have about a 20-lap race, I believe it is, from Texas Motor Speedway coming up shortly. Welcome back once again to the final round of 3 of A-Main Racing League's Thursday night triple header. We have been to Talladega, Ayrton Ellis won that. We have been to Charlotte, Ayrton Ellis won that, although not as cleanly as he did at Talladega. The finale at Texas Motor Speedway is just getting ready to take place, and this time, like I say, we're at Texas Motor Speedway. Richard, on paper this track looks the same, but I'm guessing it's got just a little bit of a different flavour than Charlotte.
Absolutely, Samuel. This track, even though it has a similar shape to Charlotte with the tri-oval and so on, it is actually quite different, as Rudy will tell you. The inside line is not as friendly here as at Charlotte. Running too wide is slightly more difficult, and most certainly you cannot catch somebody and pass them as easily on the backstretch as you can at Charlotte. So Rudy, quite a different track, this one.
Oh, by all means, Richard. There's a quite a bump coming out of 2 that if you don't hit that bump just right, it will send you into the outside wall, and then that shoots you down into the inside wall. So turn 2 is always a victim of a lot of casualties here. So definitely a turn to be watching for a lot of spins. But the tri-oval, hard to pass on the tri-oval. About the same as Charlotte. 3 going into 3 and coming out of 4, very good turn if you run the low line to middle line. But other than that, the truck is a lot of fun to race at. Samuel?
The trucks are currently qualifying right now. Michael Koenig in the number 34 truck currently has a provisional pole. And guys, I've got to be honest, I think that 34 truck is the best looking truck of the lot. What do you think, Richard? Who's got your favourite paint scheme out there?
Yeah, I'm going to go through, give me a moment to go through and have a look at all the trucks. Certainly the Michael Koenig truck looks good to me, and Jeffrey Creek's 34 truck, I would actually say, from my opinion, that it looks like Michael Koenig has the best looking truck as far as I'm concerned.
That's 2 of us from Michael. What about you, Rudy?
I'm going to agree on that. Of course, you know, being an American, I've got to go with the red, white, and blue. I'm definitely all about that truck. I'm in agreement with you.
It's hitting the wall a fair bit at the moment as he's trying to get his best possible qualifying time, and now he goes into the pits. We're talking about Michael Koenig in the 34 car. Currently, Seth Hellman has put in a really good qualifying time there, Rudy, 29.916. Ayrton Ellis, the winner of the past 2 races here tonight, is in 3rd place.
Yeah, Richard, he didn't qualify well here. Not sure if this is one of his strong tracks, which he had talked about earlier there when we talked to him. He said this was not one of his better tracks. But really not that far off of the qualifying time, about a 1/10 and a half. That's really not too awful much. The draft here could help him a little bit, draft being about the same as it is at Charlotte. Samuel?
Now, of course, we're talking about the qualifying times. Michael Koenig and Seth Hellman currently have the front row. But honestly, Richard, last race was about comers and goers. The drivers that qualified well finished at the back, whereas the drivers that started at the back actually ended up finishing up front.
Yeah, that is correct. However, Michael Koenig was not one of those guys. He did qualify well and he finished well as well. So we're looking for a good race for him. If I remember correctly, Rudy, the last race that we ran here, a test race, a fun race, was won by Michael Koenig. Is that correct?
I'm not really sure, Richard. I wasn't here for that event, but I think Michael Koenig's strong about anywhere he goes. He showed us a lot of strength on the last couple races, so definitely not one to count out here. And what you said there, Samuel, about the front runners starting, on the pole and stuff, but not finishing well. I think the racing is so hard up front. These guys are using up their tires rather quickly, and that produces them to go to the back of the field, and the guys in the back are going to the front.
And the best example of that at Charlotte was Jeffrey Creek, who dominated qualifying but suffered immensely during the race. However, he's only put on a mediocre qualifying performance here, currently lined up fifth in the grid. Do you think he's learned his lesson, Richard? Do you think we're going to see Jeffrey Creek racing a little bit more of a conservative race this time?
I think it's this track. Remembering that we're running in the daytime here as opposed to running at night at Charlotte, which always gives you a tenth or two more speed and is kinder to your tires, I believe, as they're gridding up now. We'll have to wait and see what Jeffrey Creek does here, but I have a feeling that Michael Koenig is going to be the one to beat, and Ayrton Ellis look for him to be fast as well. What do you think, Rudy?
Yes, and don't forget, guys, don't count out Matt Brooks. Matt Brooks strong about anywhere he goes. He showed a lot of strength in that Charlotte race, finishing fourth after all he went through. Getting kind of caught up in that that slot of the guys kind of getting loose and stuff. But don't count out Matt Brooks. Samuel.
We have 9 trucks in this race. They all qualified within 0.4 of a second of another, which is huge considering the fact that this is open setup. No 2 trucks, well, I don't know this for certain, but it's probably likely to say that no 2 trucks here have the same setup under their hood. Michael Koenig currently lined up on pole position with Seth Hellman lined up in second. Ayrton Ellis and Matt Brooks on the second row. Jeffrey Clark and Brian Van Den Heck hoping to get more than 2 laps in this time, lined up in 6th. Chris Kessler is going to have to come from the back, as is Rolando Arroyo, but we saw him come from the back last race, so we know he can do it. And the new driver to this race, Junior Ambrose, in the number 7 truck, will be starting in last place on the field, but as Rolando showed us at Charlotte, that doesn't necessarily mean that's where he's going to finish, Richard.
That is correct. As we see the pace car leading them around, Chris Kessler, I think, will also be one to watch here. I'm looking for a close race, and we'll see what happens as they take off. But Chris Kessler has got the inside line here starting off, which is a good place to be. I know he's starting from 7th position, but in a small field like that, I don't think that's going to count for much. Matt Brooks up in the outside line there in 4th place. He's going to be at a slight disadvantage, although at this track I believe that might not be as great a disadvantage as it is at Charlotte. Ayrton sitting pretty, I would guess, in the 3rd place. It's all going to come down as to what sort of start they get, and we'll see that in a few seconds' time. Samuel?
Well, at last race at Charlotte, we saw the driver who started second get a terrible start, and that's to be expected, honestly, because if you start second, you have a hard time seeing the leader and when the leader goes. Ayrton blinking a little bit there in 3rd, pace car's off. Michael Koenig has control of the field, And he goes now. Let's see what kind of start Seth Hellman gets. Not as bad as the one we saw the second place driver get, Charlotte, but it does look like he's going to lose second to Ayrton. All 9 drivers should be flat out through this first corner, Rudy.
Yes, Ayrton, being strong as he is, winning the last 2 races, already looking at the inside to pass the leader. And he does complete that pass as they go into turn 3. Richard?
Yes, and Seth Hellman tucks in behind him as they go through the tri-oval. Once again, Ayrton Ellis showing the way. In third place now we have is that Jeffrey Creek in third place? Car number 54 it is. Yes, Jeffrey Creek. So let's see what Jeffrey can do. He hasn't had one of those fast starts, as they like to say, put everything on the line. So let's see as he tucks in behind Michael Koenig how he goes in this race, Samuel.
Michael Koenig got a little piece of a wall on turn 4 on the first lap. That's what gave a position to Ayrton. Actually, no, I believe that was turn 2. I've been watching the back. I've noticed Matt Brooks has not gotten the kind of start we've expected. He's down in 7th, may even lose that position soon, while the front runners seem to be getting strung out a bit here, Rudy.
Yes, one I've been seeing kind of marching up through the field here is Rolando. As we said at the beginning of the race, don't count him out. I think he's kind of saving his tires right now for a run at the end. I would not count him out by any means because about anywhere we go, he's very strong. Richard?
Yes, sir. I've got my camera on Rolando, but I've just moved up one to Chris Kessler. I believe that Chris Kessler is going to be very fast and very strong at the finish here. As they go through the tri-oval once again on lap number 4. Ayrton Ellis still leading from Michael Koenig. Jeffrey Creek about 4 or 5 car lengths back, with Seth Hellman moving up on Jeffrey as we speak at the moment, Samuel.
Yes, but Ayrton may have a lead, but I don't know for how long, Richard, because Michael ran him down a bit last lap. He's lost that again now. Meanwhile, most of the field stay in single file, although we do see Chris taking a little look at Seth there for, I believe, 5th position. But whatever mistake Ayrton seemed to make about a lap ago, he's fixed it now because he's pulled that lead out again on Michael, Rudy.
Yeah, I think he got a little bit loose coming out of turn 2 there. Again, like I say, turn 2 always seems to be the victim of, you get victim to that turn a lot. But yeah, I agree with you. He has gathered it back up. But I'm looking at Jeffrey Creek here. Jeffrey Creek definitely running a good line. A lot better than he did at Charlotte. Maybe he's got that tire management under control, Richard.
Yes, sir. And if you go one back to Chris Kessler, he's the fast guy in the field at the moment. He did a pass on Seth Hellman, did it cleanly on the inside, and got that position fairly straightforward and easily. So now he's got in his sights Jeffrey Creek, and he's moved right up onto the bumper of Jeffrey. So let's see if he can attempt a pass on Jeffrey in the next lap or 2, Samuel.
Yes, I'm watching the lap times as they come over the line. Indeed, it looks like the last 2 times around, Chris Kessler and Ayrton Ellis have been the fastest cars of the track. Also, Rolando doing pretty well in there in 6th. And Michael Koenig in 2nd announced that he is about to come down pit road. He's got to be very careful because he's got trucks coming up fast on him, but able to get to the apron safely. Jeffrey Creek rolled out the gas a little bit though. He may lose 2nd position to Chris Kessler. The number 01 truck is now up into 2nd, and Michael Koenig is in the pits, Rudy.
Yeah, coming down pit road here, Rolando Araro coming right in behind him. These 2 pitting here, we're going to see if they're going to take 2 or 3 tires or 4 tires or what they're going to take. Kind of keeping an eye on these guys. I don't see any tires going on. Oh, I see right side tires going on now on Michael Koenig here, and he only takes right side, and he's away.
And these guys, Chris Kessler is sitting in 2nd position now. Bearing in mind these 2, himself, Chris, and Ayrton Ellis still have to do their pit stop. 40% fuel for this race, so you must do at least one pit stop to complete the race. As we see both Chris and Ayrton, no, Chris stays out, but Ayrton comes into the pits there, Samuel.
Yeah, Burton Ellis and also Jeffrey Creek coming in, but I believe Jeffrey is out of this, well, not out of this race, but out of contention for the win. He has fallen about 15 car lengths back of Ayrton there. And I see Rolando getting a little bit mixed up with the lap car there on the track. Let's see what kind of pit stop Ayrton gets, Rudy.
He's come to a stop in his pit stall here.
And Rolando, sorry Rudy, Rolando and Junior Ambrose, who was the lap car that Rolando was battling with, they have crashed in turns 1 and 2. I don't know what happened there. Hopefully Giancarlo can get a replay. We're being told Ayrton, it didn't change tyres. Is that correct, Rudy?
That's correct. All he did was a fuel stop and he was away. Very quick pit stop by him today. So what do you think about that one, Richard? Not taking any tires.
That is an interesting development because this track, just like all of these 1.5 mile ovals, they're pretty hard on tires. So he's taken a gamble there. Bearing in mind, Chris Kessler still has not done his pit stop, if I'm correct. So at the moment, we have Ayrton, probably our leader. Did anybody notice what happened to Michael Koenig? Because he seems to have fallen back and, in fact, is showing as being a lap down at this point, Samuel.
Yeah, that's because he pit. But interesting that you mentioned that. Ayrton has about half a straightaway lead over Michael. So unless disaster happens to Ayrton, and it almost does, he almost ran over Seth Hellman, who was entering the pits there. This looks like Ayrton could go 3 for 3, Rudy.
Yes, that's highly possible. We're seeing Chris Kessler coming down pit road now, relinquishing that lead. So we're going to kind of stay on him. Seth Hellman following him down too. And we've got a few of the guys leaving pit road now. A lot of guys, pit road action is really high right now. Some taking 2, some taking 4. Chris Kessler taking 2. Full tank of fuel and away. Seth Hellman only taking fuel. So total different pit strategies by a lot of these drivers out here. Richard?
Yeah, we'll see how it pans out. Chris Kessler at the moment, he only took 2 tires, as you said there, Rudy, and he's back out there circulating. Ayrton Ellis is very comfortable at the moment. As we'll have to wait and see as they come through the tri-oval to see what the positions are. But I think you're right, Samuel. Unless there's some sort of disaster, Ayrton Ellis should walk away with this race. Michael Koenig now 1.5, 1.3, 1.4 seconds behind. Let's see what he can do against Ayrton, because I think he did take tires, Samuel.
Hold the phone, Richard. I was about to say that. Last time around, Ayrton Ellis ran a 31.3 and Michael Koenig ran a 30.9. That is a 0.4 of a second advantage to Michael. If he can continue on that pace for the last 5 laps of this race, Michael will win. But that time Ayrton responds a little bit. Michael was still faster than Ayrton, but only by 0.1 of a second. I don't know. It's going to be closer, Rudy. It looks very close to call right now.
Yeah, definitely. But the laps are winding down fast here. This time by, we'll have 4 laps to go. Whether there's enough time for Michael to get there and challenge Ayrton, that remains to be seen. Jeffrey Creek still running in the 3rd spot. Oh, he just dropped to 4th spot. Chris Kessler now moving into the 3rd spot, but he's 4.5 seconds back behind the leaders. So pretty much out of contention. What do you think, Richard?
Yes, Michael Koenig pushing very hard. He's catching Ayrton, but he did make a slight mistake coming out of 2 there, and that kind of walked him towards the infield, but he's corrected, and that has given that very, very slight advantage once again to Ayrton, who seems to be holding him out at the moment. But as they go down the back stretch here, watch to see whether Michael can make up some time on Ayrton, which it looks just visually to be the case.
Well, last time around it wasn't. With that mistake that you caught, Michael actually lost a bit of ground. Battle for 4th place right now. Seth Hellman is underneath Jeffrey Creek. 2 laps left to go. 4th place may not be in the books yet. Chris Kessler in 3rd has pulled away from them. And Ayrton once again faster than Michael, so I don't think we're going to see a battle for the win. Right now, this battle for 4th is the one to watch. Rudy?
Exactly. These guys here battling really hard for position. You know, they're battling like it's coming down to the last lap, which it is. So, you know, good job by these guys. I believe Jeffrey Creek is, again, not by any surprise, has used up his equipment early on and is struggling now. He's just trying to maintain that position in 5th. Richard?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Michael Koenig looked like he had a chance at running down Ayrton, but I think he pushed very, very hard in the first couple of laps coming out of the pits and used up his stuff as well, because it doesn't look like he's going to catch Ayrton now. Ayrton seems to be comfortably in the lead. Go ahead, Samuel.
Ayrton has won, Richard. He has won 3 for 3. The race is over. Ayrton Ellis, Michael Koenig, Chris Kessler, Seth Hellman, and Jeffrey Creek are your top 5. And it's obvious that GSRC on the front of his car, we promised this wasn't fixed, at least I don't believe it was. That number 14 truck was just hooked up for Ayrton at Talladega, Charlotte, and Texas tonight. And maybe I'll do some more burnouts for Giancarlo, Rudy.
Exactly, yeah. It's very good to see somebody dominate 3 races like that, and you know, for him to run and finish 1.8 seconds ahead of second place, continuously pulled away and had pulled away a half a second from the time they had come out of the pits. So Ayrton definitely hooked up here tonight. Richard?
Yes, sir. Ayrton Ellis winning 3 out of 3. Which is a very, very hard thing to do, but he's certainly proven that he can take these 1.5 mile tri-ovals and make them his own. So congratulations to Ayrton. We will, as soon as we get a chance, Samuel, bring him into the booth and have a chat with him as he's doing his burnouts now for the cameras and to celebrate his win.
Yeah, everything's better in Texas. Hey, it looks like someone's joining him doing burnouts there. Brian Vandenheck, a driver that he wrecked at Charlotte, is doing burnouts as well. I don't know why, because I don't think Brian got a top 5. But hey, he had fun and he's enjoying himself. That's all that matters. And it looks like we have Ayrton in the booth. Ayrton, 3 for 3. Congratulations.
Yep, thank you.
How did this one rank in difficulty against the other 2?
This is definitely the hardest because I have least experience on this track, and I was struggling the other days when I was doing the fun races with some of the other guys. But I made a few changes after qualifying, and the car seemed to work really well, and I was able to hold together on the long run. So it gave me a lot of speed, especially on the very start, which allowed me to pass them, and my pit stop was perfect and everything was great, so it worked out really well.
Well, you won everything tonight but the best looking paint scheme. You came 3rd in that, I think. But congratulations, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you out here again someday.
Yep, thanks.
Alright, looks like we may have Rolando or Matt Brooks in the booth, and we'll see if we can bring one of them in, and perhaps our good friend Richard Losper could talk to Rolando.
Actually, I'd like for Rudy to interview Rolando. Go ahead, Rudy.
Okay. Rolando, can you walk us through what happened there at the end of that race? I see you come home last, you know, after coming off with such a great finish there at Charlotte. But can you tell us what happened there? You and Junior getting tangled up together?
Hey, Rudy, nice chatting with you. My strategy going into this race was a little different. I knew that I needed to make a right spring adjustment and wanted to do so as early as possible. I went ahead and took 2 tires, and just coming out of the pits, it looked like the number 7 car there just got a little loose, really couldn't avoid, really didn't see it coming, so he must have hit my left rear, I think, and race was over at that point.
Well, you still run a good race, back in the Charlotte race there, coming from, back in the field, clear up to finish third spot. You were one of my favorites, and I consider you a great racer on a lot of these tracks. I'm not too familiar with how you run at Texas, but hoped you could have ran better tonight. But better luck next time, buddy.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for everybody in the booth. It was a fun night. Wish I could have been there for the first race. Sorry for coming in a little late.
Back to you, Richard.
Okay, I do notice we have Seth Hellman in here. We might have a few words with Seth Hellman as well. Seth, can you hear us?
Copy, Richard.
Seth, you were running pretty well in all three races. Can you tell us a little bit about your night?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not great at setup, so I'm pretty consistently middle of the pack. That's what I was shooting for all night, and it looks like I did pretty well.
Yeah, especially at this race at Texas, you got a handy fourth position there. At one stage you were further up than that, but had a close battle with Chris Kessler for a lap or two before he was able to pass you.
Yeah, I usually do pretty well racing with Chris. I think we both know what each other's going to do when we get close and run pretty well together.
Yeah, mate. Well, congratulations on a fourth place finish here at Texas, which I think is slightly harder to run than Charlotte. So hope you had a good night, enjoyed yourself, and had some fun racing.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Thanks to you guys in the booth. It's a privilege to have you broadcast our races, and we appreciate it.
Well, thank you for that, sir. Back to you, Samuel.
Yes, I've got to be honest, Richard, Rudy, Giancarlo, and the whole team. We're not used to commentating to oval races, and that went a whole lot smoother than I thought it did. And I think we've got to give a lot of credit there to Rudy Cummings, who helped us understand the drivers, understand the tracks, and what was going on. So thank you very much for being here with us tonight, Rudy.
It was a pleasure and an honor. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. It was great out here watching these guys that I watch, every week, every Wednesday night I broadcast their races, and at Max Speed TV, and to see these guys out here running as well as they did, it's no big surprise. But with Ayrton Ellis coming home with 3 wins tonight was just absolutely amazing. Gosh, I've never seen him run that well, man. He just really, really surprised me tonight. So I got to give him a big congratulations, and thank you guys for inviting me here.
Well, guys, sorry, Samuel. I've got to say that I know Ayrton fairly well. We raced together on the roadside, and he gets the bit between his teeth and loves to win. So didn't surprise me all that much that he'd be up near the front. I didn't think perhaps that he'd win all 3 races, but he's certainly done GSRC proud there. Not that, as Samuel said, we fixed the race in any way, shape or form. But we'll bring Matt Brooks in here and give him our decision on the best looking truck there, Samuel.
Yes, Matt Brooks, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I've got you.
All right, I think we concluded that the number 34 truck, the American flag painted honoring our fallen heroes, that we picked that as our best paint scheme, and honestly, it was a unanimous decision.
Well, that sounds good. Yeah, there was a lot of good-looking trucks out there, but yeah, I definitely saw a lot of that, a lot of his tailgate tonight, so I can definitely attest to he's got the best-looking tailgate out of all the trucks out there, because as most of us know, we were chasing it most of the night tonight.
Yes, but the one you seem to all be chasing was that GSRC rear bumper of Ayrton Ellis getting 3 for 3. Did you expect that? Did you think we'd be seeing someone do the sweep tonight?
I didn't think so. You start off at Talladega, and it's really a crapshoot. It could be anyone's race at that point, especially something as volatile as Talladega with no cautions turned on. It was 15 laps of shootout, and he just he went out there. What do you lead? 12 laps of that Talladega race, stayed up front most of that race, and then moved over to Charlotte. And I wouldn't say he dominated the Charlotte race, but again, he led the most laps there. And all it takes is just one little accident or somebody getting into the back of you as you're entering pit road, and none of that happened. So it definitely was not luck at that point, as he proved when he went into to Texas and flat out just dominated Texas, leading 16 laps of that. So yeah, definitely impressed with his driving. And I think a lot of us guys over here that run these ovals all week long, that we say, oh, we're going to count this guy out. He's just running over there in the road courses, but definitely maybe I need to start running those road courses and learn some throttle control and some braking, because it seems like that definitely helps out.
Well, we were very impressed with the racing tonight, Matt. We have a few spectators watching right now. If they were impressed with this racing too, perhaps say they'd be interested in competing alongside these drivers one day. Where do they need to go?
We've got a website that Chris Kessler, he's the co-founder of our league, and Chris and I have been racing together for just about a year, and it was Chris's idea to start up amainracing.net, and that's kind of our website right now that we've got, and there's a sign-up form on there to take you over to our league page, and pretty up-to-date schedule and calendar and scoring and things like that. We do something a little different, I think, than a lot of leagues, is we just run some quick seasons. So, it's on our third season now for the trucks, and we do quick seasons. So this way you can switch it up. Our first season was all super speedways, and we got pretty bored of that. And our second season we mixed in some super speedways and a short track or two. So now we've got a pretty good mix, and some of us guys are talking about for next season to throw a road course in there. To add some more excitement to it. So we change it up every 4 weeks. It keeps things going, and if people are interested, they can of course just go to amainracing.net or just add any of us on iRacing and see where we're at. We host sessions throughout the week.
Who knows, maybe one day we'll see the Irwindale figure of 8 coming up. Richard and Rudy, I'm not the only one up here in the booth. Richard, do you have anything you'd like to say or ask Matt before we close down our broadcast for the night?
Well, I just want to shout out pretty loud to Matt Brooks and A-Main Racing. You guys have a great league going. We really appreciate the fact that you put on races virtually every night of the week, and you've got some really good drivers in there, and even the new ones coming on, guys like Jeffrey and Michael, have just enhanced the whole series. So good on you, Matt. A really fine league, and thank you for having it.
Yeah, well, thank you to you guys for broadcasting this for us, and hopefully spreading the word about our league. And this has been fun. We definitely have to do this again, or maybe get some interleague races going on. Maybe an oval race of our choosing and a road course of yours. And because we've got a couple guys in our league that do occasionally race some road courses, and he's not in tonight. John Ambrose is one of the guys that really loves road course racing, but he's got some prior commitments. He couldn't make it tonight. But that might be a lot of fun in the future. And thanks again, guys. It was pretty neat, just this whole process. I've kind of Richard's been talking about your channel and everything that you guys do with your site, and once I started looking into it, I was pretty impressed. And I found myself throughout the day, if I got some free time, I'll pop on YouTube there and watch some of your broadcasts. They're very, very exciting.
Rudy, do you have anything you'd like to say to Matt?
Yeah, I was Matt. I watch you run every week, and you're so dominant, and I gotta agree with what Richard's saying. You've got one heck of a great league going there, and I'm proud to be part of it. It's so exciting to watch y'all race week after week. Obviously, Texas was not one of your favorite tracks tonight, and I'm sorry about that. Texas is a tough track, but you ran well at Charlotte. You ran pretty well at Talladega, so all in all, I think you should be proud of yourself for the racing you did tonight, and very proud of your team. You have a great team going here, and I wanted to congratulate you on on having such a great team. Great racers, great team.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. We've just kind of all come together over the last couple weeks, and I'd definitely be the first to admit I don't win any popularity awards out there in iRacing. I run a pretty tough hosted session, and I'm pretty fast on the kick button. But I think it, like you said, it makes for a great team. And man, we got a pretty good core group of guys, as evident by the 9 guys that showed up here towards the end. We only lost looks like 2 guys over the 3 races. So. Yeah, it was a very good racing all around, and it's just a shame we didn't get more of our guys in there. But hopefully they'll go back and watch this broadcast that we post up, and it'll be pretty good to see it, and they'll see what they missed, and hopefully they will. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you, Matt. It was a joy to commentate to it. So, like Matt was saying, this is A-Main Racing was the league that brought you this excitement tonight. You can find them at www.amainracing.net or on Facebook, where they have a group page. We would also like to thank, of course, iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch.tv, and Audio Technica, Ava Media, and Ava Media for helping all this happen tonight. Also, big thanks to the rest of our Global Sim Racing channel team, Richard, Rudy, who joined us tonight, Giancarlo, Joe, Kevin, and, everyone who helps make this happen. Also, the music you're currently listening to is from Erik Ekholm. You can find his music not only here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like our music, tell him where you heard it at erikekholm.com. Our recognisable broadcast song, though, is from Dexter Britain, who provides us with lots of great music in conjunction with NASA, TED Talks, and McLaren. You can listen or buy his music at dexterbritain.co.uk. Our next race will be on August 3rd. It will be the debut of a Continental Endurance Sport Car Series. We'll be commentating to their season again. They will be there for the 2.4 hours at Daytona, which will start at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we believe. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.